There are certain moments in Formula One that will be talked about for generations. From a young Max Verstappen taking his first win at Red Bull to a rookie Lewis Hamilton shocking the world and Fernando Alonso bringing the Schumacher era to a dramatic end. These are stories that have become legendary. But beyond the stories, there are those jaw-dropping lap performances that leave us breathless. These are the laps where drivers push beyond what seems possible. Sometimes it's raw speed, finding time where none should exist. Other times it's the weight of the moment, championships on the line, history at stake. And occasionally it's the defiance of the impossible, overcoming treacherous conditions or achieving the unthinkable. These are the most iconic laps in Formula One history. Let's begin with Lewis Hamilton's last lap glory in Brazil, 2008. The 2008 Formula One World Championship hung in the balance as the season headed into its final race at the Interlagos circuit in São Paulo. 23-year-old Lewis Hamilton, in only his second season, was about to face the most dramatic lap of his life. A lap that would define both his career and Formula One history forever. Going into the final lap of the race, Hamilton was in 6th place, which was not enough to secure the championship. His rival, Felipe Massa, was leading the race comfortably in his Ferrari. As things stood, Massa would be crowned world champion in front of his home crowd. The Brazilian's family was already celebrating in the Ferrari garage, the emotions of an apparent championship victory overwhelming them. Hamilton needed 5th place to win the title by a single point, but Sebastian Vettel had passed him a few laps earlier, pushing him down to 6th. As the rain intensified, most frontrunners had already switched to wet tyres, but not Toyota's Timo Glock, who was gambling on staying out on dry weather tyres. Glock was running in 4th, well ahead of Hamilton, as they started the final lap. As Hamilton's McLaren splashed through the increasingly wet track, the team's strategists realized their last hope lay with Glock's tyre gamble backfiring. The German driver was struggling, his dry tyres completely unsuited to the deteriorating conditions. Hamilton, on wet tyres, was closing the gap, but time was running out. In the Ferrari garage, the champagne was already on ice. Massa crossed the finish line first, provisionally winning the World Championship. His father, Luis Antonio, was jumping with joy, tears streaming down his face. The grandstands, packed with Brazilian fans, erupted in celebration. But the drama wasn't over. As Hamilton entered the final sector of the last lap, Glock's Toyota was visibly struggling. The German was practically tiptoeing around the track. In a moment that would be replayed countless times, Hamilton's McLaren surged past the struggling Toyota on the outside of the final corner. The Ferrari garage fell silent as the realization hit. The championship had changed hands in the final 17 seconds of the season. Massa, who had driven brilliantly to win his home race, had lost the title by a single point. For Hamilton, it was the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. He had become Formula One's youngest world champion at the time, and the first black driver to win the title. The boy from Stevenage, who had once approached McLaren team principal Ron Dennis as a 10-year-old and told him, "I want to race for you one day," had made history. Years later, Hamilton would reflect on that lap. "Even today, I still can't believe it. Those last few seconds, the emotion, the intensity. It's something you never forget." And neither has anyone who witnessed it. Another lap that won't be forgotten is that of Ayrton Senna at the 1993 European Grand Prix. Ayrton Senna, sitting in his McLaren MP 4.8 with its customer-spec Ford engine, qualified a disappointing 4th. The Williams cars, with their advanced active suspension and traction control, had dominated qualifying. As the lights went out on Sunday, Senna's McLaren initially slipped to 5th, behind Michael Schumacher's Benetton. What followed was nothing short of magical. As 25 Formula One cars charged toward the first corner, Visibility was near zero from the spray. Most drivers were cautious, but Senna saw an opportunity in the chaos. He quickly dispatched Schumacher by taking a tight inside line. 1 down, 3 to go. Senna's car seemed to find grip, where others found none. He quickly passed Carl Wendlinger and set his sights on Damon Hill in the powerful Williams. Through McLaren's and Coppice, Senna's McLaren looked far more agile in the wet conditions. As they approached the Melbourne hairpin, Senna positioned his car perfectly, forcing Hill to defend the inside line. At the last moment, Senna switched to the outside, carrying impossible speed through the corner to emerge ahead. 3 down. Only Alain Prost, Senna's great rival, remained ahead in the other Williams. Through the S's and Goddards, Senna was relentless. As they approached the final chicane, Prost moved to defend, but Senna had anticipated this. He switched back to the inside, so late on the brakes that it seemed certain he would slide off. But this was Senna in the wet. The impossible was his specialty. He made the corner, took the lead, and just like that, completed what would become known as the Lap of the Gods. In just that opening lap, Senna had showcased every quality that made him a legend. Bravery, precision, tactical brilliance, and an almost supernatural ability to find grip in wet conditions. Senna would go on to win the race by over 80 seconds, but it's that first lap people still talk about today. However, Senna wasn't the only one to produce a lap for the ages. Fernando Alonso did something just as memorable at the 2005 San Marino Grand Prix, this time going head-to-head with 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher. The race at Imola had been a tactical battle from the start. Alonso led most of the emerge from the pits, nearly 20 seconds behind Alonso, but with a clear pace advantage of almost 2 seconds per lap. Lap after lap, Schumacher's Ferrari, equipped with newer tyres, ate into Alonso's lead. The gap shrank dramatically. 15 seconds was massive as they watched their driver's advantage evaporate. By lap 50, Schumacher had caught up completely, setting up a showdown for the ages. What followed was a masterclass in defensive driving. Alonso, only 23 years old at the time, showed maturity beyond his years. He placed his Renault perfectly in every braking zone, but he deliberately positioned his car offline in certain corners, appearing to leave a gap, only to close it as Schumacher committed to a move. This forced the Ferrari driver to back off repeatedly, frustrating his attempts to pass while ensuring Alonso maintained his Schumacher. It marked more than just a race win. It was a changing of the guard, a moment when a young talent proved he could not only match, but outfox the master. The victory helped Alonso on his way to becoming the youngest world champion in F1 history at that time, ending Schumacher's 5-year reign. The next iconic lap is a bit controversial, but it earns its place on this list for the same reason as the 2008 Brazilian GP. The championship was decided on the very last lap of the season. The 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix wasn't just the season finale, it was the culmination of one of Formula One's most intense title battles. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen had arrived equal on points, setting up a winner-takes-all showdown at the Yas Marina circuit. As the race entered its closing stages, it seemed the story was written. Hamilton, having led masterfully from the start, was cruising to a record-breaking 8th World Championship, holding a comfortable 11-second lead with just 5 laps remaining. Then, fate intervened. Nicholas Latifi's Williams crashed, bringing out the safety car with just over 5 laps to go. What followed would become one of the most controversial moments in Formula One history. Verstappen immediately pitted for fresh soft tyres, while Hamilton, who couldn't risk losing track position, stayed out on worn hard compounds that had lasted 43 grueling laps. Between them sat 5-lapped cars. With time running out and 1 lap remaining, race director Michael Massey made an unprecedented decision. allowing only these 5 specific lapped cars to unlap themselves, effectively clearing the path between Hamilton and Verstappen. As the safety car pulled in, the stage was set for a one-lap shootout. The stakes couldn't have been higher. A single lap would decide not just the race, but the World Championship. Hamilton got a good restart, but Verstappen, with his significant tyre advantage, was like a coiled spring. As they approached turn 5, the Red Bull driver seized his moment and overtook Hamilton. Despite Hamilton's 8 years of championship-winning experience pushing him to the limit, the Dutch driver didn't put a wheel wrong. As they crossed the line, Verstappen had done it, securing his first World Championship in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. The controversy over Marcy's decision would spark debates that continue to this day. The FIA would later acknowledge that the handling of the safety car period was incorrect, leading to significant rule changes for future seasons. Yet, regardless of one's position on the controversy, the pure racing drama of that final lap, 2 titans of the sport fighting wheel to wheel for the sport's biggest prize, was undeniable. For Verstappen, it was the culmination of a lifetime's work, the moment he became the Netherlands' first Formula One world champion. For Hamilton, it was a crushing defeat that would fuel his hunger to return stronger. For Formula One, it was a reminder that even after 70 years, the sport could still produce moments that would be talked about for generations. 1 lap, 2 drivers, a world championship on the line. In the high-stakes world of Formula One, it doesn't get more intense than that. And there you have it, the most iconic laps in F1 history. Now over to you, which other iconic laps do you remember? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on more of our amazing content.